Welcome to Mom Friend Material with Cherie
and Jada.
All right, so special edition of Mom Friend Material, parenting horror stories.
Oh yeah. So I will only give 3. I have a book full, but I will only give 3. So we'll start with my oldest.
Okay.
It's funny because at first I couldn't think of anything with her, and she asked me, and I was like, no, really, I guess because you think of the most recent thing first.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most memorable horror stories with her. Now, mind you, these are all lighthearted, fun. They're not traumatic stories. I can laugh at them now. They were traumatic in the moment. But she was probably about 2.5 years old. And she was in the back, story of any kid's life. If they're quiet, be nervous. She came back to the front, to the living room area, and you just saw chalky residue around her mouth. And we're like, what have you been eating? What is that?
And that's pure, fear.
Trauma.
Through you. Because you're like, is it poisonous?
What is it? So then, true mom form, I'm like, let me smell your breath. So I smell it, and it smells like Tums.
Oh, my God.
So I have no idea to this day how many she ate. But we're like, what do we do? And, there's really no instructions but the fact that you should keep them out of reach of kids.
Yeah.
Oh, my, we failed. And so we had to do the horrific thing of calling poison control.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my God, are they going to call CPS on me? And it's just mortifying, but they're just they laughed and they said, just have her drink the water and it'll be fine. But it was just
that's a terrifying moment of having to actually dial the numbers of poison control. And you're like, oh, you have that pit in your stomach. I don't know where this is going to go.
Yeah. Am I going to be I think most of it was will we be in trouble? Will they think we're bad parents? And it was more trauma in calling than it was with their actual response. But from then on, we for sure no longer left even Tums at child level. So, and they weren't childproof little things. She just thought they were giant sweet tarts or something,
I mean, look, Tums, they look like candy. They kind of taste like candy, kind of, sort of, they don't taste bad. They're one of the medicines that you're like, that actually tastes pretty good, I buy the minty ones. So it's tastes like a mint, So, I could see how, I guarantee you that's got to be really common.
I don't know. No one's talking about it. Well, so, but they knew how to handle it, poison control.
So I've got one. The earliest memory of parenting horror stories that I can think of was, I think Levi was probably around 6 months old or so. And around that 6-month mark, I think you start getting braver as a parent. You kind of feel okay, I found a little bit of a rhythm and a routine.
Yeah.
So we decided to go to dinner one night. And we're like, okay, I grabbed our backpack, which was our diaper bag. You're getting all the things, everything. And I typically kept our diaper bag stocked, the diapers, the wipes, the changes, the clothes, the formula, I kept it stocked and didn't really think about it when I grabbed the diaper bag. I'm sure y'all can see where this is heading. So we go to eat at a Mexican restaurant because we love Mexican. I'm like, let's just get out, and we had faced a lot of healthcare stuff with Levi at that point. And so we were I think we were getting closer to figuring out he needs to be, on this special formula and this and that and all this stuff. And so we'd kind of started to figure that stuff out, but it had been a rough go for 6 months. And so we're like, we're going to go treat ourselves. We're going to go eat Mexican food and chips and salsa and all of that stuff. So we get in, we order our food, we do all the things. So we're just sitting there waiting. Well, Levi, I think I brought the car seat in, and Levi has this massive blowout.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. We've already ordered, so we can't leave. All of, and so I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? So I grab the diaper bag and I grab him, and I'm just okay. And it's everywhere. Up the back, out the legs. Like, I mean, I'm like holding him out. Like,
if you were going to do it right, you're going to go all the way.
We're going all in on this, apparently. And so I take him to the bathroom, and I, no lie to you, like, take the diaper off. I'm like wiping him down. I take the clothes off. He's just bare naked in the bathroom. I'm like rinsing his legs in the sink because like it was that bad. And so like I get the diaper back on. I'm like, okay, let me like dry him off, like get him all ready. And so I go to the diaper bag and I'm like, all right, let me grab like my spare thing of clothes. Well, lo and behold, we had 0 clothes. 0. So I was like, there's not a shirt, there's not a onesie, there's not shorts. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And at this point in motherhood, like motherhood's still very fresh. Right?
And your first kid.
And my first kid. And I'm mortified. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm texting Dustin from the bathroom and I'm like, I forgot that Levi had a blowout yesterday and I didn't replenish the clothes. And now we have no clothes. And now I'm going to take him to the car because I feel like I can't take a naked baby back into the restaurant. So I'm going to just let's just go home. Can you just have them box our food up and we'll take it to go. You can pay for it. We'll take it to go. And so I walk out, felt like the walk of shame of the restaurant, holding my baby that's naked basically. And I just go sit in the car and wait. And I was so mortified. Looking back now, honestly, if that happened to me today, it would not even faze me. I probably wouldn't even leave the restaurant, to be truthful.
Be like, we're about to finish this food. Because you're paying for the food.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you get to enjoy it there or not.
Oh, yeah. Like,
you're paying for it.
As long as my child was not cold, we're going to finish this food. Babies are adorable. Just a diaper, clothes, whatever. They're all adorable. So, like, I mean, really, it wasn't a big deal. In that moment, I was completely mortified, though.
Okay. So, very similar. I'm going to tell too on Riley. And she's my sweetest. All my girls are sweet, but she is definitely by far just so sweet, so innocent.
Yeah.
So, when her first time we took her to Orange Beach, it made me so nervous because she didn't take passies, but she sucked her fingers. So we're just like, oh my God, she's going to be eating sand. Well, long story short, she definitely ate enough sand. When did we realize it? When we went down, we sat at a restaurant and our food had arrived. She throws up all over my food. And fun fact, we still had to pay for it.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, it was that deliberation. Do we stay? Do we go? Do we, So, that was one of the worst. So, we've ordered from that restaurant since then, but we've never shown our face in there again. And, I mean, that's been 12 years ago. Yeah. Still, the trauma is still real.
I was going to say, the PTSD from that one is probably still, like, lingering there.
But that was literally the cause of that was the sand, and so we recognized that. But one of the most triggering ones was she had acid reflux really bad too for her first 5 months. For some reason, the dance school we had Peyton in thought it was a great idea to have dance recital on Mother's Day.
Just what moms want to be
That's how I wanted to spend it. That's how I wanted to spend my day. I'm excited.
Running around, doing dance recital things, the hair, the makeup, the costumes, all the backstage stuff that I'm sure is required.
All of it.
For mom to do.
All of it.
That sounds like a really
awesome.
Great idea for Mother's Day.
So.
Not.
So I don't remember if Riley had just ate or whatever. But it was like literally don't move her around too much. She has to sit still, whatever. Throws up all over my clothes. All over her clothes. So I'm like, Jared, you have to take her. I go to the bathroom, and this kind lady, she sees me cleaning off my dress. She's like, do you mind? She elects to help me. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, and I am not a physical touch kind of person.
No, you're not.
So I let somebody wipe me down on Mother's Day. And then to come out to find out we did not have a change of clothes. So
course not.
I mean, at least it wasn't a blowout. I guess if you're going to look for, highlights or gratitude moments and something like that. But she definitely had to be like taken out of her clothes. Once she got to the car, she was wrapped up in a blanket or Jared. I can't remember specifically what she was wrapped up, but she rode home in a diaper. Like her clothes, I mean, like soaked. I definitely had a big puke stain the front of my clothes. So we were supposed to go out to eat as a family afterwards, but that was a no because you can't bring a naked baby in a restaurant. So,
and who wants to go? I mean, after all that, who really wants to go eat? At that point, I'm ordering takeout and I'm having it delivered.
But I think that was probably that pivotal moment in motherhood for me where I was like, when I get asked, what do you want to do for Mother's Day? And I'm like, nothing. Mm-hmm. That was probably that turning point for me.
That was the moment.
I get it now. I get it.
Good grief. So we have thank God it's not necessarily like my parenting horror story, but we have a kind of similar story with all of that that happened to Dustin. And so it was, and I know the date because this happened on my husband's birthday, December 15th. And so I'm like, okay, so we obviously we're in daycare at this point. And this was probably, I think Levi was maybe like 2 or 3, probably 2. I think 2. And he hadn't been feeling good. You know, whenever they like start coming down with something, like they've got like fever, just like not feeling good. And so Dustin's in his nursery, rocking him, like trying to get him to feel better. Cause we typically alternate like bedtime routines. And so, all of a sudden, like I hear Dustin like, oh my God, like freaking out. And so I'm like, I walk in there and in the course of like the few minutes that I had left, cause like, you do the pajamas and we're like, maybe just put him to bed. Like hopefully he's going to feel better tomorrow. In the few minutes that I had been gone, Levi had thrown up all over Dustin on his birthday.
Might as well.
And in the course of, I guess, like the force of him throwing up, also had like a blowout situation happening that got all over Dustin. So he's puked on, pooped on his birthday. Like I think that was the moment that we both realized, like, we are not escaping this stomach bug.
Oh, it's coming. Happy birthday.
It is coming for you. And it is coming fast. Like, you done been exposed.
All the way.
There's no going back. It is what it is. It was terrible. Dustin still laughs. Like, we still look back. We're like, remember that birthday?
Was it like, was he turning 30 that year or something? Where it's like a pivotal birthday?
No, he probably would have been turning like 32, 33 at that point. There was no pivotal, like, pivotal birthday marker or anything like that. But
now it is.
Yeah, now it is. It became pivotal real quick.
So we've talked about blowouts and vomit. Mm-hmm. The last one is only fitting to tell about Dylan, who had the word vomit. Because she's very honest. She says whatever she thinks.
Yeah.
And so, most parents have had these instances where you see something ahead and you're like, please don't let my kids see it. Mm-hmm. Please don't let them say anything. Please. Because so one time we were in Target. We were going through the toy aisle. Mm-hmm. And I saw.
This sounds like the start of like a lovely memory, the way you phrase it that way. Not a horror story, by the way.
It was not a toy meltdown or anything like that. But it was one where I saw a little person. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, she doesn't know anything. It'll be fine. So sure enough, we're coming down the aisle. They're coming the opposite direction. She looks eye to eye with him and she looks at me and she said, "Oh, Mom, look how cute." Like, I'm just so sorry. And I just hauled, like, what do you do in that situation? Like, yeah. I saw, I don't even know. I'm just lost for words still to this moment. It's like, yeah, certain kids, they just know too much for their own good. Uh-huh. And she 100% is one of those kids. And
the fact that she like associated that like it wasn't just another child, like I'm not saying that little people look like children, but like obviously like the height, you know, that in her head she recognized that that was not what that was.
she was like, this is not a moment where I shouldn't share my thoughts. And it absolutely was. And so from there on, I don't take, no, that's not why I don't take her to Target. But she wasn't worried about asking for a toy.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, silver lining there, I suppose.
I guess.
Oh, man. So we've talked about a lot. I know we had a fantastic listener submission.
This is good. This is good. So, from one of our favorite listeners.
Yes.
She knows who she is. So she shared, so what keeps coming to mind is not actually of one of her kids, but of something when her sister was younger. She said when her sister was about 4, they were out, her mom, and some cousins. They went to Michael's around Halloween with my mom and aunt. My sister was mad that they couldn't get a toy. And when we got outside the door, there was a metal bin filled with the plastic pumpkins, and she decided to scream. Y'all are a bunch of MFers, and kicked the pumpkin bin, and they went all over the parking lot. My mom was mortified, and me and my cousins were crying, laughing. So, I mean, I would take that punishment 100% to laugh at that. Like, I just visualize pumpkins rolling into the parking lot, and it's not like this big gap between Michael's and the street.
Right. It's like right there.
Yeah, and I like...
Could you, I mean, that's pretty bad, because it's like, it's not like your kid like knocked over a display in the store and it's just like all in a pile right there that you can just be like, all right, well, I'm gonna just walk away from this or whatever. Or, hey, let's like put it back. It's like you just had 37 pumpkins roll on out into the parking lot. God knows where. You're like dodging vehicles. Like that's pretty bad.
That, I mean, it makes me think of one more Riley story. Bless her. I've given the most of her, but I mean, you know, trauma is trauma. Carpool, she was, I think, kindergarten, maybe first grade. Mm-hmm. And she has severe anxiety, but it was to the point where like I'll just finish the story. So for some reason, they had called her to come get in the car, and like she was taking forever. I'm like, hey, my kid's not in the car. Hey, where is she? She's like walking up to the car, just like crying. I'm like, okay, did something happen? Literally scream crying to not get in the car. And I'm like, I promise I'm not stealing her. Yeah. And I don't beat her at home. I have no idea. It just a moment where she decided to have like a meltdown, literally to this day for no good reason. And I'm like literally pleading with these people, like, I promise I don't hurt my kid.
Oh my gosh. Like it was just random and just
random. I was like, did you get in trouble in school? I promise you won't be in trouble. Whatever. Just refuse to get in the car. I'm like, you know, there are certain teachers that are still at that school. Now that I have a whole nother kid, they're like, I remember that. Thank you. Thank you. Me too.
I'm glad that we made such an impression that you remember it years later.
Yeah. This Dylan is different, though. This Dylan is different. Don't put them in the same box.
This is true. This is true. So
we have a bit of news.
Yeah.
So one of those things of being a mom is like just life, life's.
It lifes and it keeps lifing, and sometimes it spins you in different directions.
Yeah.
And sometimes it pulls at you from, 17 different directions where you don't really know which way to go.
And then running a business has been, I mean, just real estate in general, since we're both in real estate, has been really crazy this year, and just other family things and all this stuff. It was like we felt like we weren't being able to give this project everything we wanted to give it, and we feel like we were shortchanging the project, and that's just not how we do things, how we want to do things.
No, I think we're both, we talk a lot about being perfectionist and
always,
wanting to do everything that I do to the absolute fullest. And it's a blessing that business is popping enough that we don't really have the time to focus on this like we really hoped we would. What started as this little passion project grew and grew and grew, and then we kind of like changed directions and rebranded. So it's been a journey. But with that being said, I think the time has come that we feel, we've we've closed this chapter. We've put out some really great content. We've talked about a lot of good things. We hope we've created a space where you feel like you can go back and listen to these episodes and not feel alone. But I think life is kind of taking a different direction right now.
Yeah.
And it's just time to close the chapter of Mom Friend Material.
And we don't honestly know what the future holds, but we know for a fact that it's not fair to say that, hey, we're just going to take the summer off, which is not summer. We're not going to take holiday because we just don't know. But, as of right now, we think that the respect to you all is to just put a pause on it until an indefinite future. But this has been so much fun to do this with one of my best friends.
Absolutely.
Meeting new people.
We have interviewing guests has been such a delight. It's been amazing. So I have loved that part of it. I have obviously loved recording with you. But I think we're ready to go to lunch and not be able to talk about podcast stuff and be able to really just be friends again.
Yeah, we have some work stuff we need to decompress on and not
just right. So thank you for listening. I hope that you find this helpful in the future. I mean, we're going to leave the episodes up.
Absolutely.
So that, if you miss us, where you can go get a little dose of us. We are on Instagram on our personal pages all the time, so you can always find us there. But thank you for being a part of this, and thank you for listening, because it's been a great journey, and I think that this is a project I could be extremely proud of in the future.
Now I have to break this news to my 5-year-old who's obsessed. So,
all right. Well, we are signing off for maybe ever, maybe maybe not. Who knows what the future holds? But thank you for listening, and we'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.